Good day, everyone. I am Mike McCammon. I'm the Executive Director of the NFC Forum. I hope you're having a great day, and welcome to our Technology Roadmap webinar. For about the next 50 or so minutes, the plan is we'll go through a quick overview of the current status of this new roadmap initiative, and then I'll be joined by 4 panelists where we can discuss various topics. If you can go to the next slide, please. But before we start, just a couple of quick housekeeping items. You have logged into a GoToWebinar meeting. By default, all participants are muted, and we do this obviously just to keep the peace in a webinar. We do have the questions panel that is open, and we invite you throughout the presentation and as we get into the panel discussion to submit your questions through that channel. And we will answer those that we are able during the time that we have for today. So please do use that. And I'll remind you a couple other times if we don't have any questions coming in. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, we'll be joined by 4 expert panelists today. Mark Lahone is the chair of our security working group. He is with NXP. One of our roadmap items is around security, and so he'll spend quite a bit of time on that. Wolfgang Mendel is the chair of the Retail and Payment SIG. He is with Renaissance and an expert in that field. Jason Lazinski is one of our newer directors from NewCurrent. NewCurrent is very active in the wireless charging space, and that's one topic for today. And then finally, Prati Kamani, who is the chair of the board and who is with Infineon, and we'll be talking a little bit about devices and other types of things that Prati is an expert in as well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the roadmap. All 4 of these panelists will join us after we get through these first several slides. If you're unfamiliar with the NFC Forum, we are a standards organization that is basically focused on enabling the contactless lifestyle. We have well over 800 member organizations, and it includes some of the most familiar global brands like Apple and Google and Huawei and Sony, for instance. But it's also nice in our board, we also have integrator companies like Identiv and NewCurrent, and then silicon providers like Infineon, ST Microelectronics, and NXP. It's a really good mix. I've been involved in standards organizations for a long time, and by having these 3 broad categories of companies, and then of course the major handset providers, both in the US, Europe, and Asia, really does help us to have good conversations and make sure that we achieve our mission. We do work with about a dozen adjacent technical bodies. We'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later, but we're really focused on payment transit, digital key, packaging, sustainability, and automotive in terms of the use cases for the technology. Next slide, please. If we take a very quick look back on 2025, some very key developments for the NFC Forum community. In the marketplace side, it's really been around enabling new use cases and standardization. So digital keys has had a really remarkable year. The partnership we have with the Car Connectivity Consortium, we've had over 130 products certified to our specification, and for digital key. It's really doing a great job of enabling that marketplace. Our in-depth and wireless charging standard specifications have become industry standards, which is fantastic. We have been involved in some of the EU common charging initiatives. And of course, there's been quite a bit of innovation in the wireless charging, which we'll get to here in a few minutes. On the organizational side, as I mentioned already, we have well over 800 members. Our certification program is very modular, and that's actually worked out quite well for us in some of our partnerships across these different categories. In fact, at the beginning of 2025, we announced our certification program as part of the KEY. That's the very, very high power kitchen standard from the Wireless Power Consortium. one of our partners. And in the back half of the year, we released NFC Release 15, which is the current version of our specification. Next slide, please. And certification program, I should add. Just real quickly on NFC Release 15, we did announce it in the summertime and it was launched in October. The two key features were extended range and sustainability. We developed our a new standard for digital product passport. It's called NFC, Digital Product Passport, which basically extends the basic functionality of data carriers to provide some interesting new features. Of course, you can read more about that on our website. But those were the two key new features that came out with NFC Release 15. Next slide. So I want to take just a few seconds to kind of explain our process because it kind of helps position where the roadmap lives kind of in our ecosystem of doing specification and work items. So it probably would come as no surprise to you if you look at the left-hand side of the chart. There are a variety of inputs that come into our process for developing specifications. The technology roadmap is one of the more primary efforts. Members do come forward with new technical work items that may or may not be in the roadmap, but normally they do, or at least covered in some of these broad categories. We also in the past have had liaisons come forward and have requests for certain features. And then just general market requirement discussions that we have inside of the organization. All of those inputs go into developing specifications in our technical committee and the test specifications in our compliance committee. The process that we have is once those are been done as a draft and they've been published as a draft and we get comment, there's a process for getting those to the place where they're going to be published. We do announce those as a package, as NFC release, whatever the next number would be. The next one will be NFC release 16. And then there's about a 3 to 4 month delay as those are being finalized before they are released to the public. And that public availability is the NFC release. It will include a certification release and also a specification release at the same time. And then finally, on the bottom of the slide, it kind of articulates which is very common amongst trade associations. Based upon membership level, this is kind of the key into when organizations can participate in those conversations. So for instance, the technology roadmap is defined by inputs from the community, but it is really mostly from our highest paying members, if you will. And then if you go out to the right, our free membership, which is adopters in the public, don't get to see any of these things, of course, until it's publicly available. So the idea is that, like other trade associations, if you're a paying member of the organization, you get early access and influence. And if you are not, you're more of a recipient of completed work for your implementation. All right, next slide, please. So let's jump into the roadmap. But before we do, I want to kind of take one last quick look back. So in 2023, the NFC Forum released our first technology roadmap in quite some time, and it had 5 primary categories of work items. I've already mentioned this increased range that was part of NFC Release 15, and also the NDPP specification. We had 3 other work items that were in various levels of completion. You'll see some of them have actually been pushed and added to the new roadmap. And we had been making progress. They just weren't completed at the time that NFC release was announced, or I should say released. When it comes to our new roadmap, there are 6 items, and this is what we're going to spend our time talking about today. So faster data rates, security readiness for PQC, reader mode interoperability, wireless power evolution, multipurpose tap, and digital key form factors. Let's go to the next slide, please. And the next slide, sorry, that's a recap of the same things. All right, well, let's jump into these. And again, if you have questions as we go, feel free to add them to the Q&A. Once I get through these 6 items, I will invite our panelists back in and we'll jump in and have a conversation about some of these topics. So the very first item on the roadmap is faster data rates. The concept here is, well, actually, I should make one comment. When we did extended range in NFC Release 15, we started with kind of a target. We said, okay, if we could extend the range, what would be a good target? And then for the next almost year, there was quite a lot of research and testing in the field and in the lab as to what would actually be possible and how we could achieve that goal. Faster data rate's the same. We have kind of set ourselves a goal of being able to increase the data rate for our certification program out to 8 times faster than it is today. We're not sure yet if this is achievable, but we are confident that this is a good target for a variety of reasons, and I'll get to those in a second. But just want to kind of set the stage that, as it's noted in the lower left-hand corner, this is very much in the research stage, so we're still discussing internally and doing all the testing necessary to see how this would work. When it comes to the use cases, and one thing you might ask yourself is why 8 times faster? Well, if you look at the ISO standards and you look at one of the primary use cases of higher data rate for NFC connections, it's passports. It just so happens that that data rate's about 8 times faster than what we currently have today. And that's why we arbitrarily picked that as a target to fully enable that use case using NFC technologies. It does work today. I mean, if you have a passport and you have the proper software, you can read the data off of the passport. But the idea is that it's not as fast as it could be. And this is something that'll be important, not just for passports, but as more eID solutions come in, like mobile driver's license. And we think this will be important. There are the 2 other use cases that are important to note. As we look to the future when it comes to digital key implementations, we are getting requests for basically larger public key data exchange. And so by increasing the data rate, those connections will be just as fast, if not faster, which is great. And then finally, there are some use cases that we have worked with in the past with the Bluetooth SIG and the Wi-Fi Alliance in what we call connection handover. And so this is the experience when you tap with your device, and then the device itself determines that, hey, I could use Bluetooth or Wi-Fi and it'll go faster. It also allows you to remove your phone away because, of course, the connection is so short. But connection handover is one feature that we have seen quite a bit of pickup. But we've also heard some feedback, hey, it would be great if we could do some of those still in bound of NFC. And so faster data rates would allow some of those use cases to not have to depend upon connection handover. So anyway, so that's faster data rates. We'll move on to the next slide, please. All right, the next one is around security, and this is actually kind of a catch-all. There's a lot of work going on right now in this space, this is a continuous effort, of course, is to always make sure NFC connections are very, very secure. But one of the, I would say, milestone issues that we can see in the not so distant future is post-quantum computing. This creates a potential risk for all connections, whether they be radio or online, and we want to make sure that we are prepared for that. So I know that the Security Working Group has been doing an audit and has been kicking off projects that would enhance the security attributes of NFC connections, considering this coming future. There's also I guess unrelated, but a topic that's kind of bubbled up in ISO. It's around a relay protection issue, a relay attack issue. And this is something that we're going to quickly incorporate into our specifications as well to do the piece of the puzzle that we need to do once the work is done in ISO. And Mark will be talking about that a little bit later. We're also in the process of updating, I should say auditing, and if necessary, updating TNAP and NAP to be crypto agile. And then the final thing is we do have our NFC security profile that is in a draft mode, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit later. But there's about a half a dozen projects that are currently being worked on right now just to make sure that we're all set for security. And by the way, I will also mention, just so for you have the clarity, is some of these items in this particular category may come a lot sooner, and other items may be delayed until the next several years, but quite a lot happening in this space. Next slide, please. So the next item on the roadmap is reader mode interoperability. And what this is about is most people know that when you have a mobile handset and you present it to a payment terminal, your phone is behaving in what we call card emulation mode. So the reader thinks it's just a contactless card. Most don't know, but your handset can be used also as a reader. So not just as emulating a card, but also can read tags or credit cards itself. We see a number of different use cases that the mobile handset will be used more and more for this function. And this will be in non-payment use cases, and also in a growing category around using handsets as payment terminals. So this is called common off-the-shelf handsets payment. And there are a number of service providers today that already, if you install software on the phone can now also be a payment terminal. These innovations really are going to make reader mode reliability very important. And the way that we've been testing and working in the past has really been more about card emulation mode. So this is basically to build out that work to ensure that those use cases work well, and that integration for all these new applications is reliable. And that's reader mode interoperability. Next slide, please. The fourth item on the roadmap is about wireless power. In our currently NFC Forum standard for wireless power is a negotiated power up to 1 watt. We are exploring ways that we can increase that up to 3 watts. And the other big innovation that we're working on here is charging profiles. So if you were to go back and look a couple of years ago, in our collaboration with the Universal Stylus Initiative, we defined a charging profile for certain stylus devices. So a stylus that might connect to a tablet, for instance. And we found that work was very useful in standardizing the way that those two devices from an industrial design, antenna placement, all those types of things were achieved. And we've seen a really big opportunity for this to happen in some other device classes as well. So if you think of smart glasses, you think of rings, other wearables like fitness trackers, headsets, and even new versions of styluses, there is an opportunity for standardization. And what we're seeing is a lot of demand for being able to use NFC wireless charging in these devices. And we think that this device class charging profile, if we extend that concept to these other device classes, will help kind of kickstart those industries and also enable an ecosystem. One of the best examples of this today is most smart glasses and their case are a pair. You basically have to buy them from the same vendor because the way the pogo pins are placed and all this kind of stuff. Well, if you move to wireless charging and you do some standardization about these charging profiles, we see that there'll be an opportunity, at least, for vendors to mix and match. So the idea is that perhaps one vendor might have 3 different kinds of glasses but use one case, or maybe there could be an ecosystem of third-party cases that could also support these. So it's a really great opportunity to kind of kickstart the ecosystem and in these kind of nascent industries that are just kicking off like smart glasses. But we'll talk more about that in a few minutes. So that's wireless power evolution kind of at the top part. And this work is in active development right now. This is not a research project anymore. This is actively being developed at this point. Next slide, please. The fifth item on the roadmap is multipurpose tap. So this is a roadmap item that we did announce in 2023. And I will tell you that over the last several years, it's been one of the more popular topics as it relates to the files that get downloaded or when we go talk at conferences. And this feature basically is designed to allow multiple operations to occur over a single tap. So the kind of the best use case we've described for this would be when you tap to pay, perhaps a loyalty card could also be shared at the same time. Or Maybe it could verify your age if you're buying restricted goods. Um, the basic concept, and Wolfgang's an expert on this, we'll talk about this in a little bit, but that's the basic concept. As we've been working and discussing this for the last several years, we have discovered that there is a feature that would be useful to kind of help enable this concept, and it's this concept of service discovery. So, and that is one of the things that we are working on right now. And the idea is that it would allow readers in the future to request the credentials they want from the wallet. So today, you would not know this, but when you present your phone to a payment terminal, one of the things that's happening is the reader is saying, hey, please provide me your preferred payment card. The reader's requesting that service from the device. Well, as we move outside of payment and we move to access control, door locks, cars, etc., there's not like a common way to do that today across the industry, across the mobile operating system providers. And so a couple of our members have brought forward a work item to basically standardize that in the NFC Forum and build out a registry, if you will, of some of those services. So the idea is that when I take my device and present it to something, the reader can say, hey, I'm looking for a key for this type of door lock, or even far out from the future, we see a use case where, like today when you fly, most airlines support QR codes when you're actually trying to check in, but we see a future where readers could also support NFC in the future, where it could actually request a ticket for that particular flight from that particular airline on that particular day from your device. But again, this is all currently being developed, and that's under the umbrella of multi-purpose tab, because the idea is that the reader can request things. It would be able to do this multiple transaction potentially in the future. Next slide, please. The last time on the roadmap is around digital key form factors. So this is very much in the market requirement stage, so it's even before research. And the idea is to have a renewed discussion around how emerging use cases are coming online, particularly for digital keys, where the devices that will be used for these use cases will move beyond mobile handsets. Today, a lot of these are being satisfied with mobile handsets, and even sometimes these also by the watches. But we do see a whole new potential class of use cases around standardized fobs for your car, or cards, or other wearables for access control. And the great thing is NFC enables all these things because it does support low and even non-powered devices. And this will, we need to take a fresh look at this, because as the use cases keep expanding, this will be a big opportunity for us. All right, so let's go on to the next slide, please. I think this is where we go back to the panel. Great. So I'm going to leave the roadmap items up on the left, just so we have them kind of top of mind. And again, these are our panelists for today. I'm not going to reintroduce them, but I will ask them to put their cameras back on. So Mark, Wolfgang, Priti, and Jason. Awesome. While we were preparing for this webinar, Priti offered to share a slide from her work that kind of reinforces this concept of digital key form factor. So why don't we start there? If you could put that slide up, great. I'll turn the floor over to Priti, and why don't you tell us a little bit about how Infineon is thinking about this convenience concept as it relates to multiple form factors.
Okay, Mike, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I hope you can hear me, because there was some issues with network, and I see Mike going offline. There seems to be some issue, but let me go ahead and answer Mike's question. His question was very simple. What do we see as Infineon, and as chair of NFC Forum, what do I see why digital key is the form factors for digital key are an important element on our roadmap. While I do believe.
Hey, Priti, we just lost you. You were talking just fine, and then
can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, perfect. So I was just starting to put together my thoughts on this. While we do believe mobile phones as digital car keys are a new norm, and are one of the most subtle, minimalistic, and hands-free option. I think we are also seeing enhancements to the traditional digital key fobs to support NFC tap to connect to vehicle doors. Consumers are accustomed to key fobs and also to
We lost you again, Prati. It might be your microphone is hitting the threshold of, yeah, we cannot hear you now. Maybe your microphone is hitting the threshold of, oh, she's gone off and come back on. Okay, well, let's go back to the previous slide while she's getting reconnected. And why don't I jump into security? So if you go back to the previous slide, and we'll get to that in a minute. We're very fortunate to have Mark Lahome from NXP on the call. He's this working group chair. But I'm going to go to security for a minute. We'll come back. Can you test your microphone? She's gone back again. All right. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and go on to security real quick. So, Mark, you know, as more and more use cases are evolving in NFC, I know the security working group is always working to protect trusted connections at a high level. How do you see kind of the NFC controller security profile specification kind of fitting into the work and all the other items we have on the roadmap today? Mark?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes,
okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. This is a key for us because we know that we have some protection with for encryption of the data, but this is on the communication, and what we need now is to go outside this data link layer and to ensure that your product is safe and you are not, an attacker cannot attack your system, and to be able to go in and to steal your data and so on. And what we have done in NFC security working group is we has defined, specified what we call NFC controller security profile specification, and this specification is in the draft state. And what we are doing from now on in the technical committee is to request a certification body to evaluate this specification. And like this, then we can, of course, we will get some comment on this, and we will improve it if needed. But I think it's in a good state. But never mind, we can go. And then the goal is to make it evaluated, to be certified by the certification body, and then we are in a relation with an organization global platform which is recognized for security topic with a CECIP model, and then to send it to global platform to make it recognized and to have a clear specification guidance for developers and vendors how to implement the system, and then to enable the users to trust the product, because it will be certified, knowing that, of course, NFC Forum is in itself, what you said, it's secure because it's a near field. But here you have the the protection of the data and the environment of the data, and it's certified that an attacker cannot go and cannot hack your system. That's a point, and what we have done in security working group, and what is underway today to go forward with this specification.
Great. And then what else would you say about the other work in the security working group today, as for instance, as relates to TNAP?
Sorry, can you repeat? There was some.
Yeah, I was saying, so that kind of covers the NFC controller. What other work is going on in the security working group that's related to some of these topics as it relates to TNAP or other use case or other technologies?
It's another side of the security. Today, NFC Forum, we have the NFC authentication protocol is specified how we are able to exchange the key between two devices. And then what we have another specification, which is the NDEF tag exchange protocol, to be able to a tag or a tag device can provide a service, and then using TNAP and to have a bidirectional communication between the tag and the device, the TNAP enables to select this service and then to go to provide a service. And what we want to do is to integrate this NFC authentication protocol to protect the data inside in the TNAP tag and def exchange protocol specification, to ensure that when you are going to it's a use case. I will not list all the use case. It's a use case. First, you establish a secure channel, and then under this secure channel, then you can provide services, but the services are not visible outside. It's only once you are established the secure connection that you can provide a service, and then of course the data are encrypted, and then you can do what you want with this service. But that's the goal, is first to be sure that the provided service is not visible. It's a use case, and then of course that the data are safe. And that's the goal, what we are doing in one of the working group of the technical committee.
Great.
And yeah, please go on.
All right.
I guess
well,
I was going to ask you.
No. I was so that's all great, and thanks. We'll you'll obviously contribute to some other topics. Prati, maybe your audio is working. Let's give you a try real quick, and if we can, we might go back and let you finish your thoughts about device class.
That's correct. So if you go to the next slide, where we have the digital car key form factors, right? So what I was trying to put my thoughts together, why we are at the forum talking about form factors for digital car key, and we were going beyond key fobs, beyond mobile phones being used as digital car keys and door lock keys into key fobs. I do believe smart cards are another form factor, which I was mentioning earlier. We are used to that form factor. Consumers are quite familiar with that form factor to be used to tap and open doors. Smart cards are also wallet friendly, light to carry around, and another advantage that's close to my hand is to my heart is it's a form factor that allows batteryless access. So you don't need to add a battery to smart cards for them to become door locks. So from that point of view, they also behave as a fail-safe form factor. One of the favorites that I have, which is becoming a new favorite for me, is wearables. For those who do not want to carry a user device around, right? Wearables such as smartwatch, rings are that are always on the wrist or finger, respectively, are even more convenient to tap and unlock. And Mike, we have been having these conversations within the forum, where NFC Forum, the NFC technology itself is unique, that it enables interoperability with the readers. So you can have various form factors and various antenna designs that can be put into the form, and that would interoperate with the readers. So these antenna design forms, which NFC Forum allows for this wireless communication over the air interface, is really important when product designers are looking for innovative designs for digital keys. And our compliance program at the forum, I believe, and our roadmap item of reader interoperability that we also have in our work plan, these are really organized to enable these various digital key form factors or digital key form factors to be used with a variety of smart locks, whether these locks are for vehicle access or for enterprise, building campus access, or even smart home physical access. So from that perspective, I believe this new work item or this roadmap item that we have for building security with the NFC interface, as Mark was mentioning, so the roadmap items are built together to activate or to unleash the NFC technology for digital keys.
Great. You brought up, let's go back to the previous slide. So, one thing that you brought up that's really interesting, I'm going to pull Jason in here, is around all these new device classes, all these new devices that will be using NFC for data, but of course, some of them also could be using NFC for charging. So, Jason, as I mentioned, something that's being discussed in the wireless power space is around these device class charging profiles. Can you kind of give a quick overview of why that's important and how that will kind of enable the marketplace for NFC wireless charging?
Yeah, of course. So, as Preeti mentioned, one of the greatest things about NFC Forum is an NFC technology is being able to bridge connectivity between a lot of different form factors, right? What we're trying to do in the charging space, when we look at some of the products that are good for this technology, we have a lot of different form factors. So in order to help product designers really drive a good user experience and, let's say, fast charging, in addition to the data, we are rolling out, device profiles to help designers understand how these things are going to interoperate, how to integrate, and help speed up the product development. On the roadmap, like you mentioned, Mike, our goal here is to bring that interoperability between different types of, let's say, accessories. Smart glasses, for example, might need to be able to working on inside a case, on the charge pad next to your bedside table, or in a retail display. 3 different use cases, all using, let's say, NFC technology in a similar fashion as the digital car key, right, where you have rings, fobs, everything trying to interact with the car. So we're taking that idea and moving it into charging to help really grow this ecosystem for devices that need this design flexibility to make the product sleeker, waterproof, easier to wear, more balanced. And by going into device profiles, we give basically blueprints to product designers on how to make sure that these things are charging fast, stable, and work well.
Okay, great. Yeah, I know that as I have learned over these last several years about wireless charging, of course, most people are very familiar with Qi from Wireless Power Consortium, but obviously the coils, like the physical attributes of that make it, well, let me put it this way, you need to have something very flexible to do all these different kinds of devices, and which is the reason why NFC seems to be a good technology for these low power, kind of very flexible designs. Where pogo pins have been used previously, like in your headphones and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Another thing around wireless charging is around the IEC, and I'll let whoever wants to jump in on this, but NFC wireless charging is getting wider adoption One of the other initiatives I know the forum's been involved in and some of our members have been is with making NFC wireless charging and NDEF, our data exchange format standard, or I should say specification, an industry standard which has just been published by IEC is 63652. How do we see that impacting the market? I'll let Jason go first, and I know Pratik had a comment overnight. Do you have any quick thoughts on how IEC's adoption of our specification might help the adoption, or how it's impacting? And if you don't want to take it, Jason, I can always go on to Pratik.
Yeah, no. I mean, for high level, I think it's really good. Essentially, once we start standardizing into regulation, it gives really a good validated roadblock behind the technology to help people understand that this is a technology that has been validated. It's been released into the market, and it has good fundamental building blocks to drive that.
Yeah, Pratik, what would you like to add about the adoption of IEC?
Mike, I really like the idea, or I highly supported NFC Forum in going in that direction. I love the idea that IEC has adopted NFC Forum's NDEF specification, as well as our wireless charging specification. The key reason for that is we do know that there are implementers out there globally, not part of the NFC Forum membership, which have been using NFC ecosystem and building applications around it. By publishing a global specification and getting recognition by IEC to adopt it, I believe this is going to build an ecosystem where compliance is going to be the underlying standard for NDEF. And if there are applications that are implementers who are doing applications on NFC, which are going to come and interplay with NFC Forum provider, so providers of NFC Forum are also doing NFC applications. So when we start to interplay in the same ecosystem, then the user experience would be consistent and would be in line with what the forum has been striving for more than 2 decades. And what I have realized is of course, for us, we did most of the heavyweight lifting, developing the specification, and we have been working together with IEC to formalize it and to get this adopted. So from that perspective, this is really great. One of the aspects I would like to point out here is NFC is a technology where there are 2 parts to it, and there is a complex air interface in the middle of it. So there is the reader, a reader like this, and then there is a card, or the red part, right? So the PICC and the PCD parts. Technical guys will say that. So it is important that whoever brings an application on the card side, it works seamlessly on the reader side, and vice versa. So whoever wants to get a card in there or of another form factor in its field, then it should be able to operate. So IEC in that the 63652 specification that has been developed or has been adopting NFC NDEF is an excellent move, I think.
That's great. All right, well, I'm going to change gears. I'm going to bring in Wolfgang next. So Wolfgang, you've been a strong advocate of multi-purpose tap here for the past several years. As the roadmap discussion has progressed, how do you see concepts like this service discovery I mentioned earlier becoming important and a necessary ingredient for multi-purpose tap use cases?
Yeah, this is the first. Sorry, you cannot see me, but my camera resists to connect since the morning session. Yeah, service discovery is one of the key features that we need and we utilize now in the NFC Forum for making the multi-purpose tap happen. So I think many people know what multi-purpose tap means. It means it's a combination of whatever age tag or presenting an identity, getting a loyalty program in one tap together with your activity around a transportation or payment or any other centric use case. So if you go for shopping, automatically you could select your loyalty card. If you purchase restricted goods, this may require an age, and then the multi-purpose tab is combining all these kind of things also with post-processing, you can imagine that you get an e-bill instead of a paper bill, or get more benefits or access to any services. Means the service what is hampering today is that in this scenario that Preti just described, that you have a reader role and a card role. The reader is normally in control what it's doing and what is happening, and then trying on the card which services is provided. And in this multi-purpose context, of course, you need an automatic process. So each side, whether your reader is acting as a terminal and the other device as a card, and in NFC Forum devices you can switch even these functionalities. The other side must know what is provided, and then select the right process to operate such a multi-purpose tab, so that you just once tap onto the terminal, and then automatically all your selected applications that you want to have are processed. And by that, the service discovery and the service registry for both sides is, of course, a vital feature. And thankfully, the device manufacturers that are contributing as one of the big members in the NFC Forum are coming up now with these service discovery new work item that we already progressing on, and that makes multi-purpose tab really happening in a concrete way.
Yeah, that's great. So let's we have about 13 or 14 minutes left. Again, I want to remind everyone, if you have questions, feel free to drop them into the question box. I'm going to quickly go to faster data rates. And Wolfgang, since you've been so patient and I hadn't called on you before, I'll let you get the first chance at this. I'll go around the room and ask everyone this question. So when it comes to faster data rates, what do you think is going to be some of the in-market benefits when we start to see faster connections for NFC? Wolfgang, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, sure, thanks. Yeah, faster data rates. So I mean, you said already a lot about that one. So we have things in the field like passports, mobile driving license, and passport is one of the data carriers that carries the biggest data amount. Yeah, and to really use an NFC device, of course, also requires for NFC devices defined by NFC Forum faster data rates. But apart from that one, what is already in the field, like passports and data carriers that carry bigger data, and in NFC it's not really huge data, it's big data, I would say. You see also the second roadmap item is security readiness for the PQC, which also require bigger keys, maybe broader authentication, transferring more data, and also for the multi-purpose tab, we just talked about. If you run within one tab several applications in a row, then you also add up a certain amount of data, and also here fast data rates would help to make this one as a very quick tab, so that you can transfer then in the same time as before with one tab, multiple tabs in a row.
Gotcha. Mark Lahome, what would be your perspective, both in security working group and also someone who works for NXP, about how faster data rates might affect the market for NFC?
Wolfgang already talked about it, about security. Then we will, for the future, we will have larger secure private key to exchange the norms and the security to protect the data. And of course, that's the higher data rate is mandatory, because we see that you have more and more application and in the field, and exchanging more and more data. And for the user, for the user experience, if you are exchanging more and more data, for the user, the time when you don't feel any how to say that, any stop, you do not have to wait just a millisecond, 1/2 a second or something like that. It must be less, and then you must exchange all this large amount of data in the same time. So it means if you want to do it, of course, you need to increase the speed of the exchange. and it's available. I will not repeat what Wolfgang well summarized for multiple type, and then we have a lot of exchange for security domain and so on.
Okay, good. Jason, I'm going to put you on the spot. I mean, I know you guys focus mostly on wireless power. Do you have an opinion about faster data rates, and maybe even just briefly mention, because some people may not think about the use case for why, you know, something like smart glasses might even have a small data exchange. I mean, how do you think there will be some opportunities in some of the integrators you're working with for faster data rates?
100%. I mean, one of the things that NFC charging brings to this ecosystem is it allows us to seal devices. And once you seal a device, you need a way to get inside of it to be able to communicate. So we use NFC to communicate with these devices for things like firmware updating, programming, command lines, essentially a backdoor to be able to get into the product outside of the other radios inside there, like, you know, UWB and Wi-Fi and BLE. So we're that low-level sustaining link that helps developers, manufacturing, testing, basically access these devices once you remove the pins from the outside, right? So moving up faster data rates just allows us to do a lot more in that case to bring these, let's say, experiences that the end user might not necessarily see it's happening, but helps really broaden out the use cases and UX possibilities. So faster data rates is, in my opinion, it's a great direction, and good that it's moving in that way.
Great. Pratik, from your perspective, how will faster data rates help change the in-market benefits for NFC devices?
Oh, definitely. So a lot has been said by Wolfgang, Mark, and Jason, so I won't repeat all of the use cases. One of the aspects that I like that we're working on with faster data rates, making it 4 times, 8 times faster, the technology itself, the contactless technology with 14443, we already have VHPR since many, many years for use cases, as Wolfgang was mentioning, for identity where the payloads are high. For other use cases, whether it is to crypto, you know, make post-quantum solutions where the payload might go higher with a post-quantum key exchange and so on. But in general, you know, the way the compute power is increasing, the need for higher payloads is increasing, whether it's for security reasons, whether it's for firmware updates that Jason was mentioning. And the technology is already there. So we have been working with ISO since many years, since more than a decade, on harmonizing the way ISO works with their 14443 and what NFC Forum is bringing in their NFC specifications for analog and digital. So for us, you know, going in that area and unlocking and unleashing the technology, standardizing it is important. So having said that, that feature can be in there. Why should NFC Forum bother at this point in time? I think it's because of the use cases, right? And the compliance of those use cases. So our compliance program, I believe, Mike, is really key. We, with our compliance program, ensure, provide a promise, a kind of a promise of interoperability with products which have NFC Forum certificates. So from that perspective, if we enable faster data rates beyond the 106 kbps that we have, it's gonna be helpful for users of this technology to be, you know, sure to ensure or to enable them to be confident that the use case they are bringing is still gonna continue to work. And with the user experience that Mark was mentioning, where the user does not realize and it seamlessly works. So from that perspective, I do believe, you know, considering all the payloads are gonna increase, considering there are new use cases that are opening, and this is like a low-hanging fruit for us from that perspective, that ISO already has the specification, the technical solution there. For us to bring this into NFC Forum and into a compliance program is just a natural thing, I believe.
Okay, great. So let me just, I'm handling some questions offline. All right, so one thing I do want to bring up on before we go into final thoughts, Prateek, that you brought up, I think is really important, is how our certification program basically helps ensure our operability across the marketplace. I was having a side conversation with some organizations in the automotive sector, and we were marveling at the fact that we have this new use case of using NFC for digital key. And unlike when you do new use cases like that, you often have a lot of interop problems. You have a lot of bad press because some things don't work. And we haven't had that problem at all. In fact, I have not heard of any notable issues in that ecosystem to date around with our work with CCC. And I think it's kind of a testament to our certification program and our approach to liaison work that really kind of built a very strong program that reassures customers and OEMs that when they integrate technology like NFC, it's going to work. And of course, everyone wants to do that. If you're building a product, you don't want to take any risks, if you will, with novel technology. And NFC is very stable, it's well understood, and there's a lot of experts out there that can help you do that. We are at 3 minutes to the top of the hour. What I'm going to do is quickly go around the room and get final thoughts in no particular order. Wolfgang, I will ask you first, any quick thoughts today that you didn't get to jump in on something, or you'd like to have a final thought around the roadmap and the momentum behind NFC technology today?
No, I think the most things were said. What we have also, when we talked about the ISO IC 63652 for the wireless charging, is that you know, there is an initiative ongoing in the European Union as one of the leading organizations, obviously, in removing disposable batteries, and that means that opens also a complete new field for wireless charging devices, very compact wireless charging devices where NFC Forum technology is quite used, and having now an ISO IC, so it means the international standard, helps us a lot that they can integrate this technology also in their strategy for getting rid of disposable batteries. Second thought is, as you see, that the technology roadmap is 6 items in a row, which seem not to be connected. But we spend a lot of time internally in the NFC Forum, of course, to bring this roadmap forward, where you see clearly there is interactions between the one topic and the other. So multipurpose tab connecting to faster data rates, but also to reader interoperability. And as we have also discussed, the digital form factors, you can combine also to a digital form factor any other, apart from the access control, payment functionality or something like that. So it means all of this is connected, and developing NFC Forum technology forward into the future into more attractive use cases.
Great, thanks Wolfgang, and thanks for your time today. Mark, any quick final thought?
Yes, just to emphasize that Wolfgang said there are 6 topics, and it may seem not to be connected between each other, and it's but in fact all the working group at NFC Forum are working together with the same goal, and there are a lot of connection between the different working group. And you were talking about the recognition about NDF specification and wireless specification, and this is the goal what we want to do with the NFC controller's security profile is to make it recognized by a recognized security certification organization, and that's our goal. And it's very important to, even if NFC Forum is well known and in NFC world, then having this kind of recognition is very good for NFC Forum, and it's very good for the users, because we have the same. We have one common specification, and then it increases again the stability of all the application and so on. And that's what I wanted to add. But that's all.
All right, great. All right, thanks, and thanks as well for joining. Jason, quick final thought. We're right at time.
Yeah, you know, the beauty of NFC Forum and NFC technology is this ability for multiple different form factors to have great interoperability and enable use cases for people. And listening to all the panelists today, you know, security, safety, UX, essentially enabling all of these things to help grow an ecosystem of products that people want to use and have a really good experience with. So I think all the conversations today were about that and really show a good future for how devices are going to be interoperable and give a good experience to the end customer.
Great. Pratik?
Yeah, I'll just take 2 seconds. I'm really excited with the roadmap that we are launching now and announcing. As mentioned, they are all interconnected in a way. We are trying to unleash the power of NFC. We have already delivered on some of the roadmap items that we had launched last year. So in 2 years ago, actually. And now I think we are in a good position to go for the next wave. And car key is just one aspect. When we say digital key form factor, it's also working with our liaison partners, whether it's Car Connectivity Consortia or Connectivity Standards Alliance for a little working group, where we are looking at physical access in a big way. So all the work items that you see here are going to enable a user experience for all these new applications for physical access that we are standardizing at NFC Forum, and also getting recognition from the global organization, as in the case of IEC. So really excited and looking forward to developing these. With this, I would only ask others who are listening, right, join us, because our activities here at the forum are contribution driven, and I can speak for my company and myself. We contribute and we see results. So that way, I think it's really good, and I'm excited to continue.
Yeah, those will be my final 3 asks, and I'm sorry we ran just a few minutes over. The first one, as Pratik has mentioned, NFC Forum, unlike some other trade associations in the tech sector, we are entirely member contribution driven. So any new specifications that come out are actually worked on by our membership, and we don't have a staff engineer that works on these things. It's all member driven. So if there's new use cases or ways you'd like to see NFC be used and you don't see it, one of the best ways to make that happen is to join the forum and contribute that work and lead those efforts. And we have some examples just on here today with people that are doing that today that may not have been at the table, say, a couple of years ago, for instance. The second ask I'll make of you is that if you want to learn more about the roadmap, the technology roadmap and basically a narrative version of this is available on our website, along with a variety of posts for each one of the topics. If you go look at our news section, that's where you'll find it. And then the third ask is if you are a member and you are still considering most of these items we've talked about today will be discussed and worked on in person at our Tokyo member meeting, which will be occurring the week of March 9. You can register for that on our website. And with that, I will apologize for going 4 minutes over time and give one final thank you to all of our panelists. Everyone have a great rest of your day, and we look forward to meeting you in the future.